Aries, stop scrolling for just a moment. If you found this message on August 9th, there may be a reason you were drawn here, because this is not about another ordinary day. August 9th carries a powerful theme of transition, the feeling that something inside you is changing before the outside world has even caught up. And Aries, you may already be sensing it. Maybe you've been feeling strangely quiet lately. Maybe certain people don't feel the same anymore. Maybe something you used to chase suddenly doesn't excite you. Or maybe you've had this unusual feeling that something is coming, but you can't explain what it is. If that sounds familiar, stay with me, because in this video, I'm going to reveal 4 signs that your inner world is entering a new chapter. And the 4th one may be the sign you've been waiting for. So don't skip ahead. The message at the end is especially important for you. Aries, stop scrolling. If you're seeing this on August 9th, don't ignore it. Something about this day may feel different, like an old chapter is quietly ending while something new is preparing to begin. You may have noticed strange emotions, unexpected signs, changing relationships, or a powerful urge to start over. And Aries, there's a reason you were meant to hear this message. Stay until the end, because the 4th sign could reveal exactly what this spiritual shift is trying to show you. 1. The feeling that something is different. Aries, you are known for movement. You act, you initiate, you fight for what you want. You don't usually like sitting around wondering what happens next. But sometimes, before a major personal transformation begins, your energy does something unexpected. It slows down, and that slowdown can feel uncomfortable. You might suddenly question decisions you made months ago. You might lose interest in conversations that once entertained you. You may even start wondering, why don't I feel like the old version of myself anymore? Here's the important part. You don't necessarily need to become someone completely different. You may simply be outgrowing an identity that no longer fits. That is why August 9th can feel less like a dramatic explosion and more like an internal realization. A quiet moment, a strange coincidence, a conversation, a dream, a thought that keeps returning, and suddenly you realize, I can't go back to pretending I don't know what I know. That realization can be the beginning of a major shift. 2. The first sign, your intuition gets louder. The first sign is subtle. Your intuition becomes harder to ignore. You may walk into a situation and immediately sense that something isn't right. You may think about someone moments before they contact you. You may suddenly remember a goal you abandoned. You may wake up with a thought that feels unusually clear. Now, this doesn't mean every random thought is a supernatural message. Sometimes intuition is simply your mind recognizing patterns faster than your conscious awareness. But spiritually, many people experience these moments as an invitation to become more aware. And Aries, awareness is powerful, because once you become aware of a pattern, you can change it. Maybe you've been giving too much energy to people who give very little back. Maybe you've been saying yes when your heart wanted to say no. Maybe you've been waiting for permission to begin something you already know you want. August 9th can become a checkpoint, not necessarily because the universe is going to magically change everything overnight, but because you may finally become willing to change your response. And sometimes that's where everything begins. 3. The second sign. People start feeling different. This is where things get interesting. One of the clearest signs of personal growth is that your relationships begin to reveal themselves differently. You may notice that some conversations suddenly feel exhausting. Some connections may feel forced, and certain people may naturally become more distant. Aries, don't immediately assume that every person leaving your life is being removed by the universe. Sometimes relationships simply evolve. Sometimes people grow in different directions. And sometimes you finally recognize a dynamic you were previously ignoring. The question isn't, who is leaving? The better question is, who am I becoming? Because when you change internally, your standards change, your boundaries change, your priorities change, and suddenly, what once felt normal doesn't feel normal anymore. You don't need to chase anyone. You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to convince someone to understand you. The right connections won't require you to constantly abandon yourself just to keep them. And that brings us to the third sign. 4. The third sign, you stop chasing what used to control you. Aries, listen carefully. This may be one of the biggest signs of all. You stop chasing. You stop forcing. You stop trying to control every outcome. You still care. You still have ambition. You still want more from life. But there is a difference between desire and desperation. Desperation says, I need this to happen or I'm not okay. Alignment says, I want this, but I trust myself enough to handle whatever happens next. That is a completely different energy. And if you've recently started feeling calmer about something you used to obsess over, pay attention. Maybe you're not giving up. Maybe you're finally releasing the need to control the timing. Maybe you're learning that your worth doesn't increase when someone chooses you, and it doesn't decrease when someone doesn't. That is maturity. That is self-respect. That is transformation. And Aries, your next chapter may require exactly that. 5. Why August 9th may feel like a turning point. Think about your life as a series of doors. Some doors open because you force them. Some doors open because the timing finally becomes right. And some doors close because the chapter behind them has already taught you what it needed to teach you. The mistake many people make is standing in front of a closed door, begging it to reopen. But what if the closed door isn't punishment? What if it's redirection? What if you're being pushed toward a version of your life you couldn't see while you were focused on the old one? This is why August 9th can be viewed as a symbolic reset point for Aries. Not because one calendar date guarantees a miracle, but because sometimes a date becomes meaningful when you decide to become conscious of your next move. So ask yourself, what am I still holding on to? What am I afraid to release? What truth have I been avoiding? And what would I do if I stopped being afraid of disappointing everyone else? Don't answer quickly. Let those questions sit with you, because the answer may reveal more than any horoscope ever could. 6. The fourth sign, you feel called to start again. And now we reach the sign I told you about earlier. The fourth sign is this. You suddenly feel ready to begin again. Not because everything is perfect, not because you're guaranteed success, but because something inside you says, I'm done waiting. Maybe you've been thinking about starting a business, creating content, changing your environment, improving your finances, taking better care of yourself, leaving an unhealthy pattern, returning to something you once loved, or simply becoming more disciplined. Whatever it is, the feeling is different this time. You're not doing it to impress people. You're doing it because you finally understand that your future cannot be built by continuously repeating your past. And Aries, that is where your fire becomes powerful, not when you are angry, not when you're proving someone wrong, but when you're focused, when you're disciplined, when you're clear, when you stop asking, who believes in me? And start asking, do I believe in myself enough to begin? 7. The message you may need to hear today. If you've been feeling behind in life, listen carefully. You are not necessarily behind. You may simply be in a preparation season. The seed underground looks like nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, something is happening. Roots are forming, strength is developing, and eventually what was invisible becomes visible. Your life can work the same way. There are seasons when nobody sees your progress, Nobody sees the battles you are fighting internally. Nobody sees the discipline. Nobody sees the nights you spent questioning yourself. But that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Sometimes your greatest transformation happens quietly. Before the new relationship, there is healing. Before the new opportunity, there is preparation. Before the new chapter, there is often an ending. So if August 9th finds you in an uncertain place, don't immediately assume something has gone wrong. You may simply be standing between chapters, and being between chapters can feel confusing because the old story is over, but the new story hasn't fully revealed itself yet. 8. What Aries should do now. So what should you actually do with this energy? First, don't force an answer. Give yourself space to listen. Second, clean up your environment, remove distractions, finish something you've been postponing. Organize your space. Clear old digital clutter. Small external changes can create mental clarity. Third, protect your attention. Not 10. 1. Send the email, start the project, have the conversation, make the plan, apply for the opportunity, take the first step. Because clarity often comes after movement, not before it. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You just need to be willing to take the next step. 9. The August 9. Reflection. Tonight, or whenever you're watching this, take a few quiet minutes, put your phone down, take a deep breath, and ask yourself 3 questions. What am I ready to release? What am I ready to begin? And finally, who do I want to become from this point forward? Don't answer based on what other people expect. Answer honestly, because your next chapter cannot be built entirely around someone else's expectations. You have one life. And there comes a moment when you have to stop living as the person everyone else finds comfortable and start becoming the person you know you can be. That doesn't mean becoming selfish. It means becoming honest. Aries, if this message found you at the right moment, take a breath. You don't have to have everything figured out. You don't have to know exactly what tomorrow will bring. You don't need every answer tonight. You only need enough courage to trust the next step. So repeat this slowly. I release what no longer belongs in my future. I trust myself to recognize what is right for me. I do not chase what is meant to meet me with equal energy. I am allowed to begin again. I am becoming stronger, wiser, calmer, and more intentional. And most importantly, I am ready for the chapter I once thought I wasn't prepared for. Aries, August 9th doesn't have to be the day everything magically changes. It can be the day you change the way you see everything. And sometimes, that is the shift that changes everything else. If this message spoke directly to you, comment, I am ready. Not for the algorithm, not for anyone else. Say it as a promise to yourself. And if you're an Aries watching this right now, subscribe and stay connected, because your next chapter may be closer than you think. Until next time, protect your peace, trust your growth, and keep moving forward. Your fire was never meant to disappear. It was meant to become a light.